Evening, everyone. Welcome back to the JungleBooster.com webinar series. We are live this evening. If you're watching this in the replay, you can jump on to junglebooster.com/live to grab all of today's notes. We'll get underway in just a few secs. We're just waiting for people to come on in, and we'll get underway in a second. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are getting underway with tonight's session. My name is Nathan. We are looking at Amazon FBA this evening. We are doing the Jungle Booster sessions. This is session 3 for your account. So we're looking at Amazon accounts this evening, how to get started, what a Seller Central account is, and all of that sort of stuff. So talking a little bit about naming, about branding. We'll get into it in just a sec. Cut back to myself and say hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. JungleBooster.com/live if you want to jump on the chat with us this evening. My name is Nathan. I run the Perth FBA session here in for our meetup group. I'm going to jump across just a minute and talk about Amazon FBA. We meet every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. So nice to see you guys. And I hope that this is useful for you. We will do a little recap of last week's session just up front, and then we'll get into tonight's session. So tonight I actually want to do something a little bit different. When I was preparing the notes for this evening's session and some of the screenshots, I realized that I can't actually take screenshots without having to blur a heap of stuff. It's not that I want to hide anything, but like my products and my brands and things like that are like sort of everywhere on the pages, and it kind of doesn't make sense to take screenshots and blur those things out when we're actually talking about those components in tonight's session. So what I'm going to do tonight is actually jump over to Amazon and show you guys what I mean by branding, naming, your account name, the brands and things like that. So I'll show you it in the wild rather than share my my account details. I don't necessarily care that much that I'm showing that off, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So some things that I just don't make sense to show you, and some things that wouldn't actually make sense if I blurred them out. So what I'll do this evening is I'll show you a few things on the slides, then we'll jump over live on the screen. I'll show you what I mean about your account as well. So let's get into this evening's session. So in this session 3 is your account. So what is Seller Central? Which type of account do I need to set up? We talk about account versus brand versus sold by, an introduction to a brand registry, what is ungating, and obviously stick around. I'll show you the behind the scenes because I'm launching a product following these sessions, 7 in total this evening. We'll get up to launch around Christmas time this year. So each week we're going through one of 7 sessions, then we'll go back to the start again and we'll launch another product. So I'm going to be showing you all the behind the scenes of my new product launch as well. So last week we talked samples. So finding suppliers, talking with suppliers and getting your first samples and all of the testing that goes into getting good product samples. In future sessions, these are the 7 steps to launching your first or your next product on Amazon. Future sessions, the next one we're talking about creating and optimizing your listing, which is lesson 4. We do building a product launch list, which is so important, especially these days on Amazon with how they've changed a whole bunch of stuff recently. Building a launch list is always important for any business, but even more so now on Amazon. We go through some product packaging and logos, managing shipments to FBA, which is something that I really struggled with. I actually had a box sitting here all labeled up and ready to go over to the US in my office for about 4 months, getting in the way. I was moving it around. Ended up taking me 15 minutes to get it shipped off in the end, and took 9 days to get my first sale. So 4 months it sat around doing nothing. So we go through that in a future session as well, how to do get your product to Amazon FBA. We talk about how to launch the actual sales, so getting that initial sales off and running, and much more. Obviously, get to watch me as well. So big news in the last couple of weeks. There has been a few things on Amazon. One of those is the Amazon banned incentivized reviews. So what does that mean? The wild west of incentivized reviews, or the review world, as it was called, is definitely over. So if you go to basically any product that's doing some reasonable sales at the moment and have a look at their reviews, their recent reviews, you would see things like, I received this product for free in exchange for a review. Those things are the things that are being banned. So people are abusing those systems. And what it really means is that you need to go back to having a real list of customers. It does mean a bit of a slower start for us smaller players, but I think it definitely evens the playing field. You can't be outbought in reviews by sort of bigger players when you're small now. So it's really good. I actually think it's a good thing. Right, so why Amazon FBA? So my 2006 word of the year was focus. I was working on a whole bunch of things towards the end of last year, getting completely overwhelmed. I was dropping plates left, right, and center. So I decided at the start of the year that my 2016 word of the year would be focus, and that would be Amazon FBA. So I spent the first half of the year focused purely on my Amazon business, set it all up to run pretty much by itself, which I'm happy to say it is doing at the moment. I hardly spend any time on it at all, so I'm very happy with that. So for anyone new here, if you are new, great to have you. I'll do a quick recap on what Amazon FBA is. So if you are familiar with physical products at all. If you run any sort of e-commerce, then you might understand how this works. You would find your product, you would get it shipped to you or get it sent to you from a warehouse. You would then store that product. You would have your website. You would pick, pack, ship, box up, and send out to your customers, give them some sort of tracking details, sort it out with a courier or Australia Post or something, and then deal with customer service on the back end of that. Enter Amazon FBA. You'll find your product. You'll send it into Amazon's warehouse, and pretty much everything else is done by Amazon, including the all-important customer service. So they handle the tracking, they handle the initial customer service stuff. If there is a problem with the tracking, if there's a problem with the shipping, damaged in transit, all that sort of stuff, Amazon will deal with it themselves, which is awesome. Saves loads of time, and the fee structure, if you think about it in that, is actually quite cheap. So something I do not like about my business is packing orders, which I do every night, sometimes, especially on nights like tonight, up until midnight. And Amazon does all of that as well. So they are awesome. So why else Amazon is the fact that they have over 300 million credit cards on file. So they certainly have the traffic and the eyeballs and a seamless process to get people to purchase products. So they are definitely one of the largest online retailers. Again, for anyone new here, we are following along a 7-day startup style launch onto Amazon. This is the framework that I am now following for all of my products, and I'm sharing with you guys. 7-day startup is by Dan Norris, as an Australian entrepreneur who wrote the 7-day startup book. And basically, it's how to get from idea to launch in 7 days or less. I've done that with nearly all of my businesses over the last couple of years as I read that book. And I now share that on another meetup group called the Perth Rapid Startup Meetup Group. And we meet just before this session on Tuesday nights as well at rapidexecutive.com/live if you want to jump on there, if you're talking all things startups, and we're launching our businesses using that process. And what I've done is actually adapt that process to Amazon FBA. So Amazon FBA being the new kid on the block for me as a business model, very happy with it. We take basically ideation as product research, and we find a supplier in day 2, which is getting our samples. Day 3 is today. We're talking about creating a seller account. Day 4, building your site. Amazon already is the site, so we just need to create a listing. Now that's our component that we build out on Amazon, is actually putting the products up on a listing. So we'll get into that in our next session. Keyword research and a review list is our marketing that we can do on Amazon. Everything is around keywords on Amazon. Metrics is sales and margins. So I've got some really cool tools and templates that you can use to work out your sales margins and your profit, your cash flow sort of stuff, which is definitely a big killer for Amazon businesses, something that I struggle with a little bit as well. And then day 7 launch is the promotion blast to get yourself off and racing and get that algorithm ticking over for you to get you some sales and potentially some more sales. Right, so that's the structure, the framework that we'll be following, and we'll do this every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. Right, so a quick recap of the previous sessions. We talked selecting a product, a very cool tool called Jungle Scout, which can give you product estimations based on keywords. We looked at how we can use Google Trends to work out if the product we find is seasonal or not. Look at whether we are going to buy something, hopefully not in the troughs, and hopefully not thinking that the peaks are going to last for a long time if they are just brief ones like these are at Christmas time. And also another cool tool called Camel, where you can work out what the sales history and pricing is for a product as well. So Google Trends free, Jungle Scout is paid, not very much, about $70 or $80 I think, one-time fee. It's really awesome. Google Trends is free, and Camel is free as well. All right, so my day 1 ideation was I picked my niche, I picked a type of product, and this time it was a supplement. And I'm looking at Google Trends, and it all seems to be up, up, up. I actually linked out an article on nichehacks.com showing you exactly why I think this is one of the coolest, most hottest markets to get into at the moment. Supplements are actually really hard to do on Amazon, so I'm actually going to start them here, but I'm going through the process and I want to get my supplement range up on Amazon as well. All right, lesson 2 was last week, as I said, suppliers and samples. So I got my my samples in about a week and a half ago, and I showed you guys last week exactly what they were. So we went out and found our products. I used Alibaba for this round because I was having some trouble finding supplements on global sources. But these are the two probably biggest platforms that you can search for products from manufacturers. Alibaba is definitely sniffing around Australia with all of the media around Amazon launching its FBA business here in Australia soon. Probably in the next 12 months, I think it would take them to get something up and running. I don't think it'll be as far-reaching as the US just yet, but it will definitely start probably where they have pegged their first location, which is Sydney. So I dare say they'll do the fulfillment by Amazon, probably Sydney first, and then expand from there. So Alibaba has obviously seen the writing on the wall, knowing our proximity and our trade relations with China and things like that. So they have been doing some seminars over here to try and get e-commerce entrepreneurs, probably like yourselves, to look at using their platform to source products. So just a quick, as I said, a recap of last week's session where we're looking at where we can find suppliers for our products to find samples. There are a few tips and tricks that I have for sourcing things on Alibaba, and that is to use the gold supplier. And if you really want to get picky, assess supplier and trade assurance when you're searching for companies. Alibaba is known to have a lot of suppliers that may not be actually suppliers. They may just be middlemen or potentially even people posing as companies when they're not actually companies. So we have found some companies where I have a pretty good photo memory. I can remember images really well. So I know where I've seen that pots and pans before and things like that. So when I was searching around for some companies in a niche, when I was looking around the coffee niche last year, I found the same factory photo with the same person with a very strange look on their face in 3 different suppliers. It turns out that 2 of those suppliers were copying the 3rd supplier. They were taking their images and displaying them as the factory and saying that they were a new factory, when actually they weren't. They were just taking photos from somewhere else, and they were pretty much copying that factory, copying their listings and adding about 15% on, and then negotiating with people. So there's definitely some unscrupulous characters out there. So one way to get around that is to tick the assessed supplier. It's an extra hoop that the suppliers need to go through, that Alibaba would send out a third-party person to their factory to make sure that they are legitimate. So it's another way to do a check on that. The other thing when contacting suppliers is to use a real email address. Get your @business.com, not at Gmail or at Hotmail. They'll take you more seriously. They get hundreds of contacts a day, and these are actually real people on the other end of the line. So make sure you're talking to them as such. And I obviously recommend getting off Alibaba and jumping onto another platform to be able to chat with them a bit more reliably as well. Don't go through the pain of having your Alibaba conversations with lots of negotiation all of a sudden go missing because they decide that they're not keeping the archive any longer, which happened to me recently. All right, so do you pay for samples. So some suppliers will actually mention on their website that they do free samples. And this might sound like a great introduction. It's like, cool, I can go around and get a whole bunch of free stuff. And yes, you can. But they will charge and potentially charge you a lot more than they should for shipping. So I recently had some products sent to me as a sample. I paid around $50 for shipping a product that would normally cost about $5 in shipping, but I paid nothing for the sample. So $50 to test out a product. It was actually a product that I wouldn't give to my dog to play with. I was very unimpressed with it. So I actually got that product. I think $50 is very cheap when it comes down to, I potentially would have sent that across to hundreds, if not thousands of customers and had terrible reviews and probably had my account shut down for selling an inferior product. So samples are a must, and you've got to think of the investment in, even if it is shipping that you're paying for, it might sound like exorbitant prices for shipping. It's definitely worth it in the long run. When contacting suppliers, the first thought that might come to mind is, what is your minimum order quantity? And it is a something you can start to work out your numbers, but just keep in mind that minimum order quantity that's mentioned on things like Alibaba is not actually always 100% representative of what they want or what they are expecting. And also bear in mind that the what is your MOQ is probably the number one question that all of these representatives would get, which is if you want to stand out and not look like everyone else, I wouldn't start with what's your MOQ as your first question. Some of them do list, some of them don't. Some of them don't list their price as well. So if you look at this as an example, what is your minimum order quantity? It says 200 sets. So 200 sets at $10 for a set of pots and pans sounds pretty cheap. But that 200 sets is guaranteed to be 100 or more. So this $10 to $100 a set, usually the minimum order quantity would be the maximum price. And sometimes it's even more than that. So minimum order quantity doesn't always mean the minimum order quantity. So what they're trying to get rid of is tire kickers. But at the same time, they are desperate to get contacts as well. So they're usually throwing something out there to see what sticks. And probably the fastest way to test out samples, a lot of the bigger factories on Alibaba also list on AliExpress. They want to list out, it's like a glorified catalog of their factory stock. Certainly not all of the things that they would stock, but some of the bigger things, some of the things that would sell well, and some of the things that they're catching on to that are doing really well in e-commerce stores, they would put up on AliExpress. So AliExpress has a minimum order quantity of 1 for a lot of things. You are paying a lot more for them, but it's a good way of testing out products as well. You can probably think of AliExpress as a bit more of a wholesale supply listing. All right, so let's have a look at my product for day 2 validation. So that was the MVP, so the samples that we went through, which was last week. So definitely pay to play. The quality was the key. So I'm getting a supplement. Supplements are definitely not an easy thing to get into. I've sold them myself already on my e-commerce store. Selling someone else's product that's already been tested and doing your own are completely different beasts. So I think I definitely have bit off more than I can chew this time around, but I will stick to it anyway. I do know this product and this niche really, really well. So I'm always up for a challenge. So my product quality isn't just testing out that the metal doesn't bend or that the product handles heat. I'm talking about actually something that people ingest for their brains. So I need to be a bit more stringent. So I'm actually sending off the product for some testing. I haven't even had a chance to test it myself. I will be guinea pigging myself on them as well. I've used all of these products from different suppliers before, so I'm hoping they haven't put anything too crazy in there, but I'll be testing them out with lab tests as well. I obviously need to test the containers, the seals. There's a whole bunch of things with the supplement you need to test, but as I said, quality is key. If you are getting a physical product, if you're getting, say, something in the coffee niche, you want to check that the product can handle heat, that it's easy to clean, when you get the product out of the packaging, that it doesn't smell like solvent or glues and things like that, which is pretty common with some of the products that I've seen. You want to see that, you want to use it yourself, you want to play around with it, you want to see that it feels like a quality product, not just a something cheap from a third world country, which is common as well. And then you also want to test every component. So does it do what it intends to, and does it do some of the off-label things? So something I noticed with a recent product, I was getting a bamboo tumbler, very popular on Amazon. One problem with bamboo is it's porous, so they are not dishwasher proof, which is unfortunate. I found out too late, so I actually destroyed mine. And I thought, I've been selling these for months and didn't even realize that. So something that you would need to put on your labels to ensure that people don't refund and say, hey, this didn't work in my dishwasher, and all of a sudden it's broken. So all those things you need to look at for quality in your samples, because if you want to sell a high-end product, it needs to be one. One last point on samples is, and this is probably goes with any of your first orders as well, if you're doing in and around the 100 to 500 samples, express air door-to-door is what you would quote for shipping. It is the fastest way. You'd be using something like a DHL or UPS to get things sent to you. DHL is probably the most common out of China, FedEx or DHL. I've only ever used DHL out of China, and I'm very happy that it usually lands here in Perth in less than 3 days, so it's very cool. You will pay a bit more for it, but it's fast. So especially when it comes to samples, you don't have a lot in the sampling, so getting it here fast is good. This is just an example of how you can communicate back and forth, even within the Alibaba app itself. So you can see my conversation back and forth with my supplier to get some samples. I was talking a little bit about this last week as well. Right, so into this evening's session. I've already been through half an hour and haven't get to this one. So this is a bit of an interactive session. I want to show you the setup on the Amazon accounts. So let me just click back to there. So we've got something on the screen. What I'm going to share with you this evening is some interesting information on setting up your account on Amazon. And if I can just find the page I've got ready for you guys. Right. So hopefully that's coming through for you on the screen. All right, if you can't see that, guys, let me know in the chat box, junglebooster.com/live. You can jump on the comments there. But let's start at the beginning. So if you wanted to sell something on Amazon, if you already have an Amazon.com account under your name, it's a buyer's account. You can sell new and used things on your buyer's account. You have the option to do that. You can go into your account and click on sell, and you can sell products in there. A recent change that Amazon has made is quite a big one around reselling someone else's product. So retail arbitrage is definitely a thriving up until recently, cottage industry around people going to stores like thrift stores or big box like Walmarts and things like that, where they're going in and buying things in the bargain bins. They're using the scanners to find out what they're selling for on Amazon, buying up a whole bunch of them and sending them in, slapping their Amazon label on them, and doing fulfillment by Amazon at full price and selling their products on there. Lots of people making lots and lots of money. Now, Amazon recently made a change to brand registry on there, and they're now reducing the amount of people who are allowed to sell branded products. So, which has actually carved out quite a lot of the Amazon FBA retail arbitrage market. So you now need to be a registered seller for a lot of the brands on Amazon. So that means that those guys can no longer sell those products, which I think is pretty fair enough. But you can do that even with your standard account. So you can sell things on there, but you don't have access to things like pay-per-click and the reporting and things like that. So you can definitely sell things under your own brand. You'd show up as whatever your name is as the seller, but you can definitely sell things. You can sell secondhand things, used things under other people's listings and all sorts of stuff on your normal account. What we're talking about here is actually creating a Seller Central account. So the Seller Central account is a particular type of account, obviously for sellers. So this is set up, it's a monthly fee, it's $40 US a month, plus your additional selling fees, it says on there as well, which is obviously if you do sell product, then you pay Amazon a fee for that as well. They do offer a free trial. I think it's a month. You get a month free, and then it's $39 a month after that. So that gives you access to what's the benefits? I'll bring it up for you and actually show you. So it gives you the ability to advertise. So you're using the pay-per-click, Amazon's pay-per-click service, which can help you get more eyeballs on your products. It gives you access to fulfillment by Amazon, which lets you utilize their pick, pack, and shipping services. It gives you all of their reporting as well. And you get a reduction on the selling fees as well. It is $40 a month, and your individual you'll pay per sale as well as the additional fees as well. So very cool. The Amazon, when you create a Amazon Seller Central account on Amazon.com, you get access to sell in Mexico as well and in Canada. So Canada is a booming market in the Amazon landscape at the moment, probably the third biggest. So Amazon.com is the biggest. Amazon.co.uk, I think, is the next one. I think Canada's just after that, and then you've got Germany and things like that. So it's definitely a growing industry, and obviously they'll be landing here in Australia sometime soon as well. So I would recommend, if you are looking at creating a brand on Amazon, to have an actual Seller Central account, not just use your individual. But if you already have an individual, you can get started today. You don't need to actually have a Seller Central straight up. Just won't have access to those other components. All right, so what is the difference between your name, your account, and your brand? So this is something that came up recently in a meetup group. What I've done here, I've grabbed our friends at Pro Chef Kitchen Tools. If you haven't been here before, I'll just show you quickly why I brought up those guys. When I first started showing people how to use Amazon, Amazon's built on keywords. So you'll see one of my favorite niches or keywords to type in is stainless steel. It gives me a great indication with auto fill, things that are selling well in the stainless steel niche on Amazon. So stainless steel straws is number one, and it gives me a category as well. So this is probably by far the biggest seller. Then you've got things like cleaner, water bottle, tumbler, wipes, earrings, trash cans, blah, 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 blah. So if I just type in stainless steel, I'm always interested to see what comes up here because it changes all the time. And it's always hilarious. Our favorite cook pot set is still there. We've got some new things. That's a new one. Stainless steel touchless trash can. That's pretty cool. Backsplash, that wasn't there last time. Anyway, so I geek out on this a lot. I find it really interesting. It's one of my favorite top pages on Amazon. But anyway, I digress. We are looking at certain types of products that come through in this. And one of the ones that used to come up all the time when I used to type in stainless steel was stainless steel bag clips. When I typed stainless steel bag clips, I used to get a list that looked very similar. And this was a product we, in previous sessions, have broken down the whole entire business, taken a product from that keyword right through to who the brand is, what their website is, what they're selling, where they've got there from, what their potential sales are, and what size their business is, how they've set it up, that sort of stuff. So that's the type of thing we've done in previous sessions as well. But let's pick Pro Chef kitchen tools there. And what I'm looking at was in that previous page, which I'll jump back to. I've grabbed a product and I'm also looking at two new and used to find an actual seller who's actually selling new on this FBA product. So you'll see just down here that this is a product that's been around since August. Just jump down to here. Where's my other one? Oh, it's not showing up there. Anyway, this is an FBA seller. So a seller just like you and I. And they have been selling for about a year and a half, I think, I worked out, on Amazon. And this is the listing for their clips that are being sold by somebody else. So someone else is sitting on their listing. Pricing, what have we got? Pricing on here is $17.52. $12.95, and on this one they're selling at $12.95 as well, but they don't have the buy box. So if you went and bought it from here, add to cart, it would buy it from Pro Chef Kitchen Tools. If we go to the new and used sellers in this, you've got this company called Spry Nova, and they have a very good seller ranking, but they don't have the buy box, even though they're selling at the same price and they have FBA. So this is what is eloquently known as a hijacker on Amazon. So let's have a look at this one. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So you can have a look at how things are set up. So when you go and set up your Seller Central account, or if you have a look at your personal account, you'll have your name. So my name is Nathan, and my account is obviously called Nathan. So if I went to sell something, it would show up as Nathan as the seller. So this is Spree Nova is showing up as the seller. The name is called Spree Nova Storefront. So you get the option of a name and a shop name, and that can be within your account. So your account name and your account display name. And that's what these guys have got as storefront. And you'll see that the products that they are listing are actually pretty much the same as the poor old guys at Pro Chef Kitchen Tools. So it looks like this is a copycat, a complete copycat company. So Pro Chef Kitchen Tools, that's all their product range there. Product range for Spry Nova looks pretty much exactly the same because they are actually just copying that brand. You see the products listed in there. So these are things you can actually find out about other companies as well, all sitting in the back of Amazon. The last thing to be aware of is once you've created your account, you can then actually have multiple brands under your account. So within each of your listings, you'll be able to put your sold by. So your sold by is your name. And then within your account, you can actually have multiple brands as well. So if it makes sense for you to have, if you are, you can have a brand of wipes and call them Pro Chef Wipes as well, and have that as sold by Pro Chef Kitchen Tools, but the brand of that would be your Pro Chef Wipes. One thing to be aware of then is if you wanted to sell someone else's item and you typed basically maybe Spry Nova had its own types of cloths, clean cloths, let's say, for example, then they wouldn't actually show up on this page because this is listing the things under Pro Chef Kitchen Tools. So I actually have a brand. I'm reselling one product that's not actually mine. So I'm wholesaling another product that I have on my e-commerce store that's under a different brand. So if I go and search for my brand, it doesn't actually come up, which is unfortunate because I'd like to send people across to my storefront to show them my pages, but I can only send them to my brand, which is unfortunate. I learned that the hard way. I now need to actually send them to my storefront to be able to show them all of the products that I have in my range. So instead of searching for my brand, you need to search for my storefront. So that's something to keep an eye on when you're setting up your account. But super easy to set up the accounts, and we'll get into listings in next week's session as well, and how you can set up each of these components within there, all of the major items that need to go into a listing, and things to look out for when you're creating your first or your next listing for your Amazon product. All right, let's jump back to our session. All right. Now, a quick recap on where I'm up to with my product. This is day 3 and part of the brand registry and getting ungated is part of my account, because I've already got my account, obviously, but within your account, there are some other things which we'll touch on in our future session as well. But just a quick update on where I am, day 3. I'm attempting to sell supplements. Again, this is not something I recommend for the newbies to do. You guys can watch along with what I'm doing and all the cool stuff that I get to do, but I don't recommend getting into supplements. Now, I'm trying to get ungated in supplements and food and grocery at the same time. I'm having lots of issues with that. I've sent in, I'm now in my 3rd round of sending in invoices to show that I'm selling these supplements and goods and food goods and things like that under my brand here, and have done for quite some time. But Amazon don't accept documentation from a retailer that is online only. So my major brand that I purchased for my supplement business already is a US brand, and they are an e-commerce only brand. They have some retail outlets start online only brand, which is quite tricky for me to deal with. Basically means that I can't be ungated for their products because they're not retail. random. I've been in contact with Amazon. I've been in contact with seller support, and I've also got some expert help, and I'm having that ongoing at the moment because I'm not getting anywhere. So I'm stuck at day 3 at the moment. I will move forward with the other days so you guys can follow along, but I don't see this being resolved before we talk next. But I'll jump on to day 4 anyway and show you how I'm going to create the listing. All right, is there more to this FBA thing? So we touched on exactly how easy it is to get started, but definitely. So I've run out of inventory on 2 of my products and it hurt. So inventory management is key. Pay-per-click is a huge beast. Getting eyeballs on Amazon is getting more and more expensive. So pay-per-click is a hard thing to master, but certainly an easy thing to get started with. It's a great way to start your brand selling. We touched briefly on hijackers already tonight. Just showed you one of my favorite companies that I've broken down a few times. I'm hoping that it wasn't me that brought them to light. But that was an example of a hijacker. We'll go through that in a bit more. Pricing management is something that's key as well. So driving sales and conversions on how you can change your price and how easy that is to do. And obviously keyword optimization is a key thing as well. Keywords rule in Amazon land. So getting your keywords right is important. It can kill your listing if you get them wrong. All right, so a few extra bits we talked about in our previous session and a recap of my products, but we don't need to go into that. So let's jump back to me. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Sorry for the sort of chop and change there a little bit for the listing. I did want to show you the back end of my account, but it didn't make sense to show you my personal one, and it didn't make sense to show you my business one because there's some things that don't make sense to show you and some things that if I did show you that would make sense anyway. So I'd have to blank out some of the bits. So I hope going through that was more useful for you. So if you haven't actually started your Seller Central account, you can get started with your own to sell something. You can sell things from around your house just to get over the fear of selling something on Amazon if you're worried about that. If you have started, then getting yourself a Seller Central account is key to be able to use all of the open stuff. And if you are have sold stuff on Amazon, then looking at brand registry, which means you register your brand with Amazon, you need things like a website up and running, something that I can help you with if you were on our previous session. But Amazon is looking to have a website with a contact number and things like that on there to be able to prove that you are the brand that sells your product. So getting yourself brand registered can help protect you from things like hijackers and things like that as well. And then you can become the registered brand seller for your brand as well. So you need a website to do that. They're pretty easy to set up. And another last little dash there on setting up your account is getting ungated. So Amazon have gated categories on Amazon. So things like jewelry, things like collectibles. So they want to prove that jewelry is real. So that's a gated area. They also don't allow you to advertise if you're selling jewelry, which is a strange one. Food, you need to be ungated, so you need to prove that you're actually selling food. You know how to sell food. You're not killing people. And I think they do exactly the same thing with supplements. That's what I'm struggling with at the moment. So to get ungated in those categories, you need to prove certain things, jump through a few hoops as well. So that's what I got for this evening for our session. In some follow-up sessions next week, we're going to be adding a product headline, title, images, and copy to and keywords to our listing. So we're creating our first or next listing. And as I said, if you need help with any of this, if you want to chat to me about your Amazon business, you can grab a spot. You can grab the big red button on the right there, or go to junglebooster.com/coaching to grab 15 minutes with me. We can talk all things Amazon FBA and your business. I can help you set up your brand registry site if you like as well. That's what I do. Otherwise, we are meeting in person tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. I think it's 6 o'clock at our usual location in Malaga. A few people have already signed up, so it's going to be a good session tomorrow night. We'll be talking about similar things, setting up your listings and your accounts and stuff. That's where we're up to in this cycle. I'll bring my samples along. You guys can see what I'm up to with my supplements. And if you are just getting started, I can help you out there as well. There's a whole bunch of us. We got together. We actually packed out the room last time, so it was great fun. We were there for a few hours talking all things Amazon FBA and their moves to Australia. So exciting times to be in e-commerce, exciting times to be selling online, and certainly an exciting time to be looking into things like Amazon. All right, guys, junglebooster.com/live if you want to have a chat with us over there. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow night, and we meet every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock to talk all things Amazon. And next week, we'll go through your next listing. I'll leave the chat box open for a little while, guys, while we wrap this up. And if you have any questions, jump on there. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow night or next week.